A school district of the future prepares lifelong learners to demonstrate mastery of 21st century competencies that will equip them for continuous success.
DeKalb County School District is a leader in K-12 and early childhood education and has developed a comprehensive master plan to ensure school improvements are made throughout the DCSD community.
Students can reach their fullest potential and excel when schools are well maintained and capital resources are up to date.
Whether it's state-of-the-art learning spaces, our 7 robotic programs, renovated and innovative schools, or technology devices for every child,
these resources and investments not only benefit the DCSD community, but also the taxpayers of DeKalb County.
A top priority for DCSD is supporting social and emotional skills of young learners and their families, and our Early Learning Center addresses the readiness gap.
Every 5 years, we assess DCSD schools and facilities, technology equipment, and examine construction to address overcrowding and to accommodate growth so that DCSD scholars can thrive. To achieve and excel, we provide technology at your fingertips with anytime, anywhere access, infrastructure enhancements, business system integration, and instructional tools to support top-of-the-line connectivity and cybersecurity, and a family impact hub that meets diverse families where they are.
So, how do we pay for these general improvements to impact student achievement and positively affect the DCSD community?
E-SPLOST is a 1-penny sales tax that allows school districts to fund their capital improvements. The voters of DeKalb County will be asked to extend the 1-penny sales tax for another 5 years. This education special purpose local option sales tax is critical to building our children's future and equipping our community for success.
Good evening, everyone. We do have a quorum. It is now 6:05. Our meeting is for September 2022 is now called to order. Is someone going to share the agenda on the screen?
I can, Kathy. Sorry, I'm just getting on. Bobby and I are both having some technical difficulties. So let me find the agenda and share it.
Okay, thank you, Richard.
Sure. It might take just a moment, so I have to do a search for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Richard, if you don't mind, I'll display it in the interim until
Thank
you
you.
need to.
Go ahead.
Okay, but you'll need to take over for your sections, of course.
Yes.
Mel, you are just so gracious. Thank you so much.
Quite welcome, Kathy. Just trying to be helpful.
And it was so much appreciated. The agenda is before you and has been distributed. I see one correction. Oh, no, I don't see a correction. It's on my end. One correction will be, I will have to leave somewhere about 6:45. So our vice chair will be taking over in my absence. So I'm not sure where that's going to be. So just letting other committee members know that I will be scooting out for early. Are there any corrections to the meeting agenda as distributed? All right. So hearing no corrections, can we by unanimous consent agree if there are no objections to the September 28th, 2022 meeting agenda as distributed? All right, hearing none, the meeting agenda for today has been approved. We'll move right, oh, I'm sorry, let's step back. We want to welcome our visitors, and I think I saw 3 visitors in our in the room with us. So we want to welcome our visitors. Moving now to item number 3, review and approval of the meeting minutes from August 24th, 2022. Are there any updates, corrections to the meeting minutes as distributed? Okay, so hearing none, can we by unanimous consent again agree that the meeting minutes from August 24th, 2022 are approved if there are no objections as distributed? All right, hearing none.
Hey, Kathy, can I
yeah.
take a minute here? One thing that I want us being design and construction, the district, one thing that we're going to work on is the being able to get the minutes out of a little earlier, since they are a little more detailed now, so everybody can review those. We've had the last 2 months that have been extremely busy between myself and Monica and others, and the generation of these notes is actually takes the effort of 4 people. Monica puts them together based on information that she receives from 2 others. When she puts those together, I then, well, they're sent to Kathy. I also look at them. Kathy, provides corrections when necessary, and then they're reissued. These last 2 months, they've been a little later than should be, but it's been because I'm getting pulled at different areas, and I was out a week on vacation, and I want to apologize for that. We always need that, but we're going to work on getting those out to everyone, out to all the committee in a more timely manner. And that was it.
Okay, Richard, thank you for that information and your commitment. But so again, can we by unanimous consent agree that the meeting minutes will be approved as distributed for our August 24th, 2022 meeting if there are no objections? All right, so hearing none, that means our meeting minutes from August 24th, 2022 are approved as distributed. The next item will be the discussion, follow-up matters, and a report on the E-SPLOST presentations from the board, before the
All right.
board.
So we had a number of items that were presented at not only the regular call, but also a special call board meeting. So I'll go through all of those, and then I'll go through the contract items, which is item 5 separately. So the first item, Group A, fire sprinkler installation, approval of additional scope of work in an amendment to the architect for a not to exceed amount of $126,427. And what this was for was survey work and flow test. Normally, this is something that wouldn't, because of the dollar value, would not go to the board, but because these projects, Group A consists of, it's 5 or 6 schools. I can't remember the exact number, 5, 6, or 7 schools. And once you combine that dollar amount for all of the schools, since these projects are grouped, or these schools are grouped together as a single project, it required, or the dollar amount exceeded the $100,000 threshold, so it required this to go to the board. But what the work included was survey and flow test, and the flow test is a very minor item. I think it was like $750 per school. But the survey work, one thing I did want to talk about on that is what we have to do is survey the location of the water line, so we can accurately locate or show what the where the fire line is going to connect to. So we have a surveyor out there for that work. The additional scope of work, though, what we're trying to do, one thing that we don't have, especially on our older buildings, is a complete survey of the entire property. So while we had a surveyor out there, we went ahead and did that so that we have a, so we can begin to build a database and have a survey, a single survey of all of our properties. We typically would have a survey when the building was originally built, then we would have a separate survey of any additions. In the case of the elementary schools in 2000 through 2003, when we did the multi-purpose buildings, we would have a survey of the area around the multi-purpose building, but we didn't have a survey that showed all of it on one single AutoCAD file. So, and that's what the bulk of this was. And that is the same for the first three items. There's a group A fire sprinkler installation, a group B fire sprinkler installation that had additional scope of work and a related amendment to the architect for $185,675 for survey work and flow test. And then group C, fire sprinkler installation approval of additional scope of work and related amendment of $117,607 for those projects. The next item, E-SPLOST 5.
Hey, Richard, I had a question on that. And remember, I'm still waiting on my training. And I don't disagree that the surveys are important and required, but why is that coming out of SPLOST funds?
It's a good question. We have, honestly, since the surveyor is there and is doing a portion of the property, this is a opportunity for us to be able to, spend the extra, bump up from, maybe $5,000 or $6,000 to $15,000 or $20,000 to do the entire site, so that we have that for our database. Otherwise, that would be something that we just wouldn't normally have at our disposal.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Next item was for actually the next two items are change orders. The first one was for, it doesn't say in the, I'm sorry, I was reading the board directive that we get. It was for Lakeside High School, $140,000 amount. And what that was for was to replace the asphalt underneath the track when it was when the rubber was removed. It was noted that the condition of the asphalt under the track was in poor condition and needed to be replaced. It was cracked, had moisture coming through it, which would have made any, or wouldn't have allowed us to get a warranty on it with the moisture coming up through the surface because the rubber would not adhere. So there was a change order for that. And then there was a change order for Druid Hills Middle School and Redan High School baseball facilities for $584,622 to provide, let's see, let me find the exact language. So at Druid Hills Middle School, we were providing dugouts that match the dugouts that existed at the school. We renovated the press box that was there and provided a concrete pad and bleachers there. The bleachers are aluminum bleachers. The ones they had they were metal bleachers, but they were bent up in pretty bad shape. And then at Redan, we provided an ADA walkway, a press box, and field irrigation at the Redan baseball field. Let's see, the next item, next three items are additional scope of work and budget adjustments or increases to the budget to cover that work. And a lot of this is, of course, all of our schools need a good bit of work, and it's difficult to be able to do everything at the schools, but sometimes it just makes a little more sense while you have a contractor out, depending on the work that they are doing, to go ahead and provide some of this additional work. So in this case, the first item is Chestnut Elementary School. The additional scope of work was to provide the addition of a fire sprinkler system and a budget increase of $630,000 to provide that system at the school. We also removed that because that project or that school was included in the fire sprinkler Group C work, so it was taken out of that scope of work. Laurel Ridge Elementary School major building system replacement. We had a budget adjustment and we included the addition of a security vestibule, a fire sprinkler system, and roof replacement at Laurel Ridge with a budget adjustment of $1,030,000. Woodridge Elementary School, we had we included the addition of a fire sprinkler system there in a budget adjustment of $910,000. Also, we had at Salem Middle School approval of additional scope of work and a related amendment to the architectural contract of $317,000. We included a roof replacement as the additional scope of work. Farrington Elementary School, we had approval of additional scope and a related amendment to the architectural contract. And there we included HVAC replacement as needed and a fire sprinkler system. And then the last item was at Redan Middle School. We added a new roof and or actually as roof replacement and HVAC system replacement as needed for a 200 and a architect's amendment for $216,294. Those were the items that were approved at the both the regular scheduled meeting and the special called meeting. So that was item 4A. Item 5, the 2 contracts. We had one contract that was approved, went to Centennial Contractors. It was general contractor services for E.L. Miller Elementary School major building system replacement. That needed a budget increase to go from the original budgeted amount of $5,940,000 to $6,997,200. And then we had a contract for Construction Works Incorporated that for GC services for Redan Middle School, Farrington Elementary School, and Salem Middle School major building system replacement. And those were projects that had received additional scope of work. And so this project had a budget reallocation in the amount of $9,763,167 to increase the original budget from the $8.3 million to $18 million, the actual contract amount. And those were the 2 contract items for number 5.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Any questions for Richard on the items presented? All right. Hearing none, then we'll move to item number 6, the review of the community feedback collected from our email box. Daniel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me bring up the emails. We had several emails that have come across Since our last meeting, I'll, for the sake of time, will be brief and just summarize the emails. One email is titled Procedure Question and Work Orders. Let's see. For this particular email, I have a procedure question as well as some feedback about work orders and flowchart after last month's meeting. Let's see. Would you please explain the process in place when a stakeholder sends an email to the E-SPLOST committee email address? Let's see, I have observed that emails have been presented or perhaps summarized at the meetings, but I'm not clear what else occurs. Does the entire committee receive a copy of the email when it comes? Do members of the DeKalb County school system staff such as operations receive a copy? Should someone that sends an email expect a response or an answer to a question, or does that person need to tune in to next month's meeting for the discussion? Let's see. And at last month's meeting, the district presented a flow chart related to the path a work order follows. And there are several questions related to that.
All right, and I do have 4 emails that have just recently been sent that I will need to follow up on. And what I'll do, Daniel, is reply to you and Kathy
Sure.
on those, and then you can distribute those. So it looks like what I see all together are 6 emails, and I'll work on providing a response to those tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'd hope to get to it today before the meetings, but just was not able to.
Yeah, I know I forwarded several emails a few weeks ago, and I know I just forwarded some emails that we literally received in the past 3 days.
Yeah, I have all those right here.
Thank you. Let's see. Second email received is in regards to a contract fee structure. Let's see, at the September 12th, 2022 Board of Education meeting, the board was asked to approve change orders totaling $648,726 to the firm doing A&E work for 3 E-SPLOST 5 projects. Projects 32235, 36135, and 36535 for Redan Middle School, Farrington Elementary, and Salem Middle School, respectively. While the agenda item text refers to the added scope, the change orders make no reference to the added scope. The change order reason for the cost increase was increased stated cost of limitations. The change order amounts were calculated at a strict 7.5% multiple of an increase in the stated cost of limitations for the A&E contract. Let's see, I understand this method of AE contracting isn't widespread in the industry and isn't considered best practice. See, I will wonder if the committee would consider a discussion of this.
And you forward that one to me, correct, Daniel?
I believe I did. Let me just check to make sure.
Yes, on the 14th.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
On September 14th.
Let me take a look at that again, and then I'll determine if we need to put that on the agenda, or, you know, we need to have that discussion on our agenda discussion meeting.
Okay. All right. All right. Next item is from September 14th, titled "How Can Current Commitments Exceed Budget?" Let's see. I noticed that project 21235 Chambly High School turf has a current budget of $1.15 million, which is $578,000 greater than its current commitments of $1,728,369. Yet the cost performance metric is as green as it can be. This project is in closeout. It would be helpful if the committee could discuss how current commitments can exceed the current budget for this project without any sort of fiat to just indicate the budget could be exceeded.
Richard, did you want to, is that going to be one of the emails that you respond to?
Yeah, I'll need, because we'll need to look into each of these. We typically get these emails sent directly to us. Also, I very well might already have a reply to that one from AECom, and but yeah, I'll need to look into that and in the other ones.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Kathy. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Next email is titled, "Please support needed capital improvements in our schools." Well, this was sent to Board of Education, and you know, Richard, you were CC'd as well as the E-SPLOST committee.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sure you're aware of that one.
Yes.
Let's see. And next email is one of the emails that was received in the past 48 hours. This is entitled the E-SPLOST 5 Contingency Fund Concern. The Board of Education recently approved a transfer of $584,622 from the E-SPLOST 5 Contingency Fund to cover change order costs for baseball field improvements at Druid Hills Middle School and Redan High School. Is this change order even necessary? Let's see. Well, and a bunch of let's see, other questions about the press box in the locker room. Do they really require? Well, basically, going into the weeds of whether certain items are needed. Let's see. So let's see. Well, some of the schools in poorest condition on the original E-SPLOST 5 project list were removed and lost their previously promised funding because they were suggested for replacement in E-SPLOST 7 by the CMP. Let's see. Please use your advisory position to impress upon DeKalb County School District leadership the need to distinguish wants from needs, to work to bring all classrooms and school facilities up to satisfactory condition ASAP, to preserve contingency for unforeseen emergencies, and to restore the trust of stakeholders by keeping their promises. That one. Let's see. Next
Was that one
email.
sent to, I'm sorry, Daniel, was that one sent to Richard?
Yeah, all the emails I have read and will read have been forwarded to you, Madam Chair, and to Richard. Let's see.
Okay, Dr. Tinsley has a question.
You're muted, Dr. Tinsley, if you're speaking.
Madam Superintendent, you're still muted.
Okay, maybe we can come back to her.
Yeah.
Daniel, did you
All
want
right,
to?
sure. Yeah, let me, let's see. Next email, let's see, it's a follow-up on Lakeside concerns. I'm following up again on my email communications on June 30th and August 26th. Would you please respond to let me know you have received these and how Lakeside safety issues can get back on whatever list the district is now using to complete work orders, since these safety items were not listed on the Excel spreadsheet generated late last spring during the regional facility manager's walkthrough.
Yes, and those are items that we're looking into those.
Thank you, Richard. Last one, another procedure question and work orders email. Let's see, I am following up on my email from August 26th regarding concerns about the work order flow chart the operations office shared with you, as well as the EAC's process for managing emails that are received by the, well, I guess the E-SPLOST Advisory Committee. Let's see.
Okay, can you all hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, I am so sorry about that. I decided I'm multitasking and I'm using my phone instead of my computer. So lesson learned. Check out all of your settings before the meeting. First and foremost, I just wanted to greet everyone that's on the call today. And thank you so much for your support of the district and helping us as we continue to navigate our enhancements of our buildings and our E-SPLOST responsibilities. The question that came in, the one that was read prior to my disconnecting, I wanted to just make a statement, and I wanted to state that I've talked with the operations team, and Mr. Boyd will, I'm sure, be able to give a little bit more insight. One of the things that we are doing is we are looking at building for building, and we're looking at those things that have been done in the different sites. And we're trying to utilize that as a way to help guide us as we are talking about those enhancements and other things that need to happen in our sites. So I am familiar with the message that came in that the gentleman read. And I just wanted to share that with the group, that we are trying to take a more intentional focus on identifying those projects and the things that we need to do to enhance our buildings to address some of those other concerns that were identified with the condition assessments of buildings within the district. So I just wanted to make that statement as you guys were going through the email messages.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Those are all the emails that have come in since the last meeting.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Are there any questions from the committee members? Kevin?
Yeah, thank you for taking the call. Good afternoon, everyone. Evening. Oh, goodness gracious, it's been a long day. I got a question just wrapped around the process of these emails. When I was listening to the emails being read, there were a couple submissions that were wrapped around the concern of whether they're being heard or being acknowledged. Is there a process, and this is a newbie question for me, is there a process on deck that talks about how we dispose of the emails? Since they're submitted in a public fashion, are we republishing them? Are we publishing them or archiving them in a public fashion? What happens to these emails after? I mean, I know we read them and we talk about them, there's discussion, but from a public perception, how are these emails handled?
Yeah, we actually do not publish them. I'm not sure when you say publish them, what do you mean by that? Other than we talk about them in our meeting.
Okay.
One thing that I do want to point out, that a lot of these emails that come in to us from the community have to be answered by DeKalb County. We can't answer.
Got it. Okay.
We can't provide an answer. The only thing that we can do is facilitate. And that's why the ones who send in, consistently send in emails, we've asked them to copy their board member and DeKalb County as well. So, you know, that you can cut out really truly cut out the middleman and go directly to them. So hopefully get them an answer faster than, okay, well, we got it, then we're going to forward to the DeKalb County School District.
Got you. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And one other thing about archiving emails, since I've taken over as vice chair, I don't delete any emails. They just stay in the inbox.
Thank you. That got me there. Thanks, folks.
No worries. Any other questions? All right. We are at the MSR review.
Thank you, Kathy. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Good
Thank
eve-
you, Mel.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'll try to do a abbreviated but comprehensive walkthrough of the MSR monthly status report for end of August. Starting with table 1, our funding. SPLOST 4 tax receipts, of course, are static, no more to be received. And this month, for the month of August, no GISFIC or GADOE reimbursements. Total to date for those reimbursements is about 84.5 million. Table 2 provides your SPLOST 2 funding, and still trending well above expectations, currently at 839.5 million. Date, that includes a total of 698.8 million in tax receipts, and you can see that that's 116% compared to the forecast expectation through this period. That tax revenue still continues to come in strong. 12.7 million received since last prior period. In fact, that's roughly the amount that was received in the prior period. So business has been pretty consistent out there. No GAD reimbursements this month so far, the month of August. And so far we've received approximately $741,657 in GADOE or GISFIC to be precise reimbursements. Table 3 shows your commitments and expenditures, and your SPLOST 5 expenditures crept up to 557.2 million. That's just 100,000 for the period. We're pretty much close to completion for our SPLOST 4 expenditures. High Tower Elementary is one of the last jobs that will close out. And on SPLOST 5, our expenditures are up to 278.2 million. That's approximately $2.63 million increase since our last report. Excuse me. Chart 1 shows your 557.2 million in SPLOST 4 expenditures to date. And chart 2 shows your SPLOST 5 expenditures at that 278.2 million as the end of August. Again, that's up about 2.63 million, as we noted from table 3. Chart 4, as you recall, shows or depicts your expenditures, commitments, and your current budget by project phase. Similarly for SPLOST 5, your budget, commitments, and current expenditures by phase, and there's your 278.2 approximately expenditures for the month of August. Table 6 shows the breakdown of the budget, commitments, and expenditures by region, and there's your 278.2 approximately million in expenditures, and that's about 44% of this revised current budget of 630.3 million. Just a reminder that Region 0 district-wide includes non-construction expenditures as well as projects that are bundled and represent multiple facilities. And the note below refers you to Appendix E, which is a report we added earlier this calendar year that allows you to tie those individual facilities in Region 0 to the individual project numbers.
Hey, Mel,
Yes, Kathy.
can we go back to that chart again?
This one?
Uh-huh.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. The expenditures the percentages will not equal 100%? Or is that equal to what's been spent so far for E-SPLOST
that region.
5?
For that region, correct.
No, I'm talking about total.
Total. It's total expenditures 278 over 630.3.
So then the 44% of is the total expenditures for E-SPLOST 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been 40-ish% for a few months now, but we jumped from 5:30 to 6:30. So that made a difference in the calculation. But we thank all the folks who contributed funding and our planning director who managed the funding to provide more headroom for us to do more project work. Get this going again. It's like I'm freezing up here a little bit. There we go. So table 7 provides you with your cost performance ratio data. And just by way of reminder, that's here on in the legend. The table compares the estimate at completion to the budget, and the estimate at completion, EAC, if it's less than or equal to the current budget, then the project report is green. It's amber if the EAC is between the current budget plus 5%, or it reports red if it's more than 5% more than the current budget, if the EAC is more than 5% of the current budget. So quite honestly, what you'll see in the following charts is that for SPLOST 4, all your cost performance ratios are either neutral, the gray shading indicates completed or closed out, or green. But what you'll see for SPLOST 5 are a couple ambers, some greens, and some reds, and we'll talk about those individually here. Projects number 101, 102, 103, 35, that's sprinkler installation A, B, and C, were pending a change order and associated budget transfer, which was submitted and actually approved at the September board meeting, as Richard reported earlier. So currently those projects report green. The construction the cost performance ratios depicted by the red, we saw one that was 30435, the baseball improvements. That budget is available. Apparently there was a problem in the Munis workflow, and that transfer didn't hit Munis. We were told now that that issue has been corrected on the Munis side, so that'll report correctly. And as of the current report for the 30435 baseball improvements at Druid Hills Middle and Redan High, that will report green as well. The only other project that reports red is the DCSD salary report project, I'm sorry, and we've mentioned previously that's a district finance concern. More specifically, we're told that when finance migrated from Crosspoint to Munis, there was some problems with the data transfer. So finance needs to clear that up for us. That's something operations can't do. But our understanding is it's not a real problem. It's a reporting problem that needs to be addressed.
So, hey, Richard, before you get off of that, I'm sorry. So we've been carrying that one error for that DCSD salary going on 4 months now. And I know it's not operations, it's issue, the burden to bear, but is there any horizon on getting that resolved? I mean, this is kind of long in the tooth. And, you know, and if there's nothing there, then can we annotate that this is an error?
Sorry, I was sitting here talking on mute. Kevin, I can talk with Hans Williams and get more information on that, and yeah, and see if we can just put a note explaining what that error is, you know, what it is there.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So table 7 provides the cost detail for SPLOST 4. And you remember that the gray shading means completed or closed out. Then table 9, provides the cost detail for SPLOST 5. And we just walk through the amber entries. We've got the 1304 that's already been corrected, and then there's the DSD salary account that we are, I agree, probably getting a little fatigued providing a negative report for that. So hopefully we'll get some support internally on that. You recall that tables 10A through 10H provide that same cost information, but it's organized by region and then sorted by project name, so you can easily find your project in your region. There's the Druid Hills. It's already been adjusted. There's a DCSD salary. They're both region 0. As we mentioned, pre-cleaned for SPLOST 4. Just those couple of items for SPLOST 5. And
Hey, Mel.
yes, Kathy.
Yeah, you're making me a little sick with how fast you're going. So can
I'm
you slow
sorry.
down just a tad bit? Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Yeah, I don't want to belabor if the information is benign, and that's kind of what we've got here so far. But I can go slower. Sorry about that. And that takes us to table 11, our schedule performance measure table. I know it looks pretty healthy, but quite frankly, there's only one new entry on this report for this period. And it's the 21435, the Kloskis High School. Most everybody knows that that project had been deferred for quite some time, pending recommendations from the comprehensive master plan. The board ultimately did approve a new project in May 2022. Since then, the architect design team has been hard at work producing a really intricate conceptual design. It's a little bit of a complicated project, and a phasing plan that was presented to the district in August. And that phasing plan would represent a new schedule. So once we get district concurrence on that new phasing plan that dictates that new schedule, we'll be asking for a rebaselining of the project to reflect its true status. As you can see, at least Redan Middle, Druid Hills Middle, Midvale, Salem, Laurel Ridge, Woodridge, Chestnut were all previously delayed due to delays related to the approval of the E-SPLOST project list adjustments. But again, spoiler alert, Mr. Boyd reported on 6 of those projects that were approved scope and budget increases at the September special call board meeting, virtual board meeting. And so we'll be asking for rebaselining of those projects, and they will come off the late list once we realign those projects. We've talked about the security vestibules previously.
Hey, Mel.
Yes, Kathy.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your report.
That's all right.
But I'm getting ready to scoot out. I wanted to take a point of privilege and just announce to the entire committee that it's been 10 years since this advisory committee has been in existence. This month, I'm sorry. So we started in September, this committee, started in September of 2012. So just wanted to point that out, that we've been going strong for 10 years now. So just want to encourage our newer committee members to stick with us, our medium committee members to continue to stick with us. And as the oldest member on the committee, I am still sticking with the committee because I think it's very important. But if you have any questions, you need anything from me, I am always available via email, text, or I think everybody should have my cell phone number. So I will, just one other thing to think about, if we want to return to an in-person meeting, I'm not feeling that, but it's up to the committee. So we'll probably put that on the agenda for us to discuss next month. And also, we have not gotten the open position interview scheduled for those committee members who were interested in volunteering to interview. We will have you noted, and we'll make sure that you are a part of those interviews, the interview process, So I'm bidding everybody a good evening. Please continue to stay safe so that we can get out of this pandemic. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kathy. I would offer that, so we've spoken to most of the issues on this report. I would say that the 21135 Cedar Grove High School Auditorium is probably the patient I would consider critical. We had hoped to finish that project before Labor Day. Turns out the elevator crew or team was not mobilized the way we believe they would be. And as of a most recent report, the contractor has complications getting the balance of the complicated audio video control system equipment. Apparently it's outdated. I'll learn more about that tomorrow, but what I'm hearing is it might push completion of the project into late October at best. So that's probably a thorn in our side right now. Everything else I think we've got managed. Not speaking to Dunwoody Chambly Elementary School, that's very much a function of permit processing by the city of Dunwoody. And then table 12 provides you with your detailed dates for SPLOST 4. Remember, shaded is completed or closed out, and bold indicates anything beyond the planning stage. Table 13 provides that schedule detail for SPLOST 5. We've spoken to most of these, Cross Keys, Peachtree. And then the projects that were recently approved, Redan, Barrington, Salem. So we've got 4 more of the projects that were part of the major project adjustments to process through, and then we'll be kind of back on a normal track, I would call it. See, and then tables 14A through 14H provide you the schedule detail by region. Again, that's sorted by project number. I'm sorry, project name. So you can just pick out your project based on the scope that you know. So this is a repeat of the data that's summarized on tables 12 and 13. And table 15 provides a listing of your completed and closed out projects, that's by project number. Closed out on top, completed beyond. I should note the notes at the bottom that this report only tracks the 54 E-SPLOST 4 carryover projects, and those are reported on table 5. Then Appendix A provides you with your detailed information for that SPLOST 4 carryover program. As you recall, it gives you your budget detail, your phase budget detail, and then a descriptive scope, along with the responsible project managers. Appendix B provides that same detail for SPLOST 5. Fairly lengthy report. So Appendix B for SPLOST 5. Then Appendix C provides you with your funding information. I promise you it's in this report. So for each funding category, sales tax, bond, JD reimbursements, we provide the plan, the actual, monthly and cumulative. So at any point in time in the life of the program, you have a snapshot of where we were. Then Appendix D provides you with a snapshot of your combined funding, your commitments and your expenditures both per month and cumulative. So similar treatment, but summarized. And here's Appendix E that we mentioned, provides detail for those projects that are bundled or otherwise non-construction expenditures. So for example, what you'll see here is, when we can read, you'll see multiple instances of a turf installation project. For example, turf A, or 10203 at Druid Hills High, Druid Hills Middle. So it breaks out that budget commitments, expenditures per facility for that bundle project. So that's pretty helpful. And that concludes our walkthrough of the August MSR for this month.
Thank you, Mel. Does anybody on the committee have any questions?
Right, welcome, Daniel. My pleasure.
So Daniel, before we move on, I'd like to show everyone, because everyone might not know where to find those reports. So Mel, if you could, maybe you already have, let's see if I can share my, all right. Okay, let me share this. Can everybody see the district's website? It says bus drivers needed here.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what the report that Mel found, that Mel just discussed, can be found on the district's website. So if you go to community and come over to the left and go to E-SPLOST, and then go to status reports and audits. And you will see the audits, the annual reports, and the status reports, which that's what Mel was just looking at. And this is the August 22. You can see we have them for every year, going back, I think it was going back to 2000. Well, I'm sorry, I thought it was 2012, actually back to 2008. So you can see the report that Mel was just looking at was the August 31st. I'm assuming this was the one you were just looking at, Mel. But that's where all of these are. So if you want to go through and look at these in any more depth, we have all of them there for you.
Thank you, Richard. And we're happy to answer questions. We recognize that it's hard to keep the data perfect, but we definitely try, and we think it's pretty representative. Richard, I can answer the question you asked a week or so ago about what are other districts doing in terms of their monthly reporting.
Yes.
And the answer is very little.
Okay. I know in Cobb County, they do quarterly, I think. And
correct.
I remember Hans said, or it might have been you that said a report was just 1 or 2 pages. So, and as as any of the members want to go through, you can see these reports have changed in the kind of information that has been presented. In my opinion, it's probably time we look at that again for the reports and see what information we want to present, since it is supposed to be a status report or an update on the projects. I feel we need to look at providing more information on the project so everybody can see, short of driving by and seeing that steel has been erected, we need to provide that kind of information in the reports. It's just my opinion. All right, Daniel.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Mel. Does anybody have any questions about the last month's MSR? All right. Thank you, Mel. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8 on the agenda, the facilities maintenance report.
All right, I'm going to share that item again. So the first item here is the work order life cycle. We'd actually shown and discussed that last month, and there were some questions that had come up about that. I know there were questions about the process as far as the work request received by a facility manager and how long it takes. So, and this is included in the minutes. So when the facility manager's there to check daily for new work order requests that come in from any facility, let's see, if there's any issue that's an emergency issue, then those are typically handled by phone. We don't send emails there. Those their people are called, and then we call either the appropriate staff member or a vendor in to take care of those. So those are handled within a couple of hours. Work order requests for routine issues, they are to be reviewed and either approved or denied as a work order within 24 to 48 hours. And those are reviewed, those are approved or denied based on what they are, because there are certain things that the schools are expected to do. Depending on whether the school has just a custodial crew with a head custodian or a plant engineer, there are certain things that they are supposed to do themselves. So if it's, a work order request will be denied if they send a work order in. And yes, we've had these where toilet has been backed up and we sent a plumber out and the plumber went and flushed the toilet and fixed the issue. And that was all that was required. So, but it was put to us as a plumbing backup when in fact it was a stopped up toilet that had resolved itself. And so we had some of those. So once the facility manager reviews and approves the item, it's turned into a work order and it's assigned to a tech, and the tech is supposed to visit the site to assess the issue within 48 hours. That's not to say that they correct the issue then. They have to go out and look at the issue. They might be able to correct it, or they might actually have to order parts or order, a new, heaven forbid, a new cooling tower or something. That would be an extreme case. But, they are supposed to do that within 48 hours. Our goal is to complete the work orders within 30 days. And that's barring any issues with getting parts in or getting a vendor lined up, depending on what the particular issue is. We have Mr. Moncrief on with us tonight. So if there are any additional questions on this that y'all have, we can go ahead and address those, and then I'll move on to the next item, which is the work order report update. So there any other questions on this?
Good evening, Lisa Wright. How's everyone?
Hey, Lisa.
Good. How are you?
Well, my question is, what is our staffing? Have we improved that? Is there a certain percentage that we are of our goal from our last conversation regarding our needs for our staffing?
We, and Bobby can probably speak a little more in detail on how or who has been hired or what positions have been hired. We do need to, we need more staff. We are working on that. We have positions that have been advertised, and they have been doing interviews for various staff, but we are still down from where we need to be. It's a very competitive market. We're not only competing with different school districts, APS and Fulton and Gwinnett. We're also competing with, quite frankly, some of our vendors. When construction is very busy, an electrician can go get a job at an electrical subcontractor and do quite well. Same for HVAC techs. So it's a very competitive market when times are good, and a lot of times those type companies can make quicker decisions on increased pay to be able to bring in the better qualified candidates. So it is a pretty competitive market. Bobby, do you have anything else on that as far as?
Yeah, so we do have a lot of vacancies, but we literally interview every week trying to bring people in. We are actually having a job fair out at our facilities center on the 21st of October. That will be, and we're going to be doing advertisements for that. I believe we're going to be doing at least radio, possibly newspaper, and as a possibility, we might actually be able to do some advertising on TV depending on the cost. So if we can get people in, and we had one similar to this back in, I think it was the end of July, we had one over at AIC. But our problem is when we do get people in, we interview them. If they make it through the interview, a lot of times we're waiting on them to either accept the job offer based on what they offer to pay them, or they can't pass a background check, or they don't have all their ducks in a row as far as the high school diploma or whatever certification that they said that they had or needed to apply for the job. So, but literally we interview every week. We do resume reviews every week trying to get people in.
And we've brought in a few different, and I'm not sure of the numbers. Bobby, you might have a better handle on that. We've brought in some of the maintenance helper positions and some of the other maintenance positions over the last couple of weeks.
So we actually have created positions, since we're having a hard time trying to bring in the skilled positions, to bring them in, and we're working also with some of the local tech schools as well. But we've actually created a position where we are going to train you to become a technician or a plant engineer or a head custodian, whatever you want to become, to just try to bring them in as entry level as possible, trying to bring them in to get them trained up. We've had a little bit of success. I think we have brought in, I think we're up to 5 people.
How many did you have in your plan for the maintenance helper?
The maintenance helper, we're going to be right at 24, I think it is 24, 25. So we're still a long ways from that.
Okay.
But we're working on it. We're starting to see an increase of interest in that position. So hopefully that will work itself out as long as we stay diligent on trying to get people in.
So this position that we're talking about, the maintenance helper, is a really good idea that Bobby had. And it goes to some of what Dr. Tinsley has discussed about grow your own. So they might not start out as our own, or they could be students that have graduated and not sure what they want to do. But this is a entry level position where you don't have to have experience in any one particular area, and you can come in, and the intent is that they will they're an assistant, they are a helper, they will help an electrician for a time period, they will help a plumber for a time period, they will help an HVAC tech for a time period. And what that will allow them to do is to see is there something they're interested in. Do they want to continue in the electrical field, or maybe they're interested in a little bit of all of it, but they want to stay in a school so they can become a plant engineer. So the idea is that we bring them in at a early point in their career, and we start to train them and promote them and grow them into a position where they will hopefully stay with our district and not move on. But it is a way to bring in some good help and help them grow and grow in the industry. Are there any more questions on this, the life cycle of a work order? Because there was one other item I wanted to share my screen on. I'm not sure how to. All right, if there are not any questions, I'm going to try to switch to, and I might have to stop share and do a new share. Let's see. Okay, no, I don't. So one of the questions last month on work orders was on the work order dashboard. Why was it saying August 20th as the date? I'm not sure why it said August 20th, but what we have done is we've had our IT department update the total open work orders, and you can see this is as of 9/16. But this is under, you can see DeKalb schools, data dashboards, operations is where you would find this information. So I just want to say that that was something that we had updated. Let's see, the next item, which is very interesting, is let's see, the work order report. I'm not sure if I can get that one up or not. All right. So one thing that, as you'll notice, that we're going to have to work on our information is in the, this is the work order report that Bobby had printed out on Monday based on work orders that were still open in the system. And Bobby, we need to look at the data that IT was using because it's not matching what we have, what you pulled out of Munis on Monday. So we do need to continue to look at that. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
So you can see the entire spreadsheet, because for some reason it's just got a green line around part of it.
The right side is chopped off.
Okay, yeah, that's what on mine it was not showing. Interesting. I don't know. I actually used I have dual monitors. So to be able to see the entire spreadsheet, I have to stretch it across 2 monitors. But our total number on the spreadsheet that we pulled from Munis on Monday that Bobby did not match the data that was on the I don't have it up right now. That was on the dashboard. So I need to check with IT and see where they pulled that data from, because it's not matching, and the dates are only a week apart from those two. All right, so as we've done in past, these are the work orders that Bobby went in and generated it's a tedious report to pull all of the different trades and the number of work orders by region. And you can see our AV, our carpentry. This is custodial equipment here, electrical, and you can see our main items that we have as work orders are electrical, HVAC, and I think plumbing is our other, 289. And these can vary in any number of things. One that I was looking at, where is it? It's the carpenter. Carpentry is, of course, that's the biggest number, but that is kind of a catch-all. Bobby and I were talking about this earlier. That and grounds are kind of a catch-all if it's not in AV or one of the others. Carpentry can be anything from true carpentry, something needs to be repaired, but basically it's general repairs, whether it's something like a toilet partition or a door stuck or hinges or something like that. It's kind of a catch-all for something that doesn't fall in all of these other items. Grounds is the same thing. If it's something that's outside and it's not exterior painting or roof, it falls within grounds as a work order item. So that's why you see 250 items there. One thing that, and I'll go ahead and show this, the total here, this is what I was talking about that doesn't match the database. I'm sorry, the
Dashboard.
yeah, dashboard. Thank you. So we need to look at what the dashboard is reporting because I noticed the date on it was the 16th, which, and this is from Monday. So we just need to verify that. One thing I did want to say, you'll notice that regions 1 and 2 have a large number of work orders, but those are also the largest regions with the most schools. So that's why those are higher. Any questions about any specific area? We don't have the detail of, what are the 2 elevator issues or what are the 2 flooring issues. We don't have that kind of information, but if you have general questions, we can speak to those. None? Okay. Bobby, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No. We do know that some of the these work orders, as I was going through and pulled them up, there are some of them that need to be closed out because I know for a fact some of them are done. And the managers have not had a chance to get to that point right now to get, I mean, they're working on them, but it takes them a while to try to close the work orders out with all the other things they're doing right now. So we're emphasizing trying to get these closed so we can show a true reflection of what's actually open. Because I do know there's a few that can be closed out.
This is Lisa Wright again. I have a question, a general question. Has the supply chain shortages affected the school's ability to complete these requests?
It has.
Yes, very much.
Like when Richard was talking about the cooling tower, he just threw that out as a possibility. I mean, there's some units right now that we're 44 weeks out on trying to get, like if we need a new unit on a particular HVAC system, we're 44 weeks out on trying to get it. We had an issue with during the summer, which we typically do our gym floors during the summer. We couldn't do it because we couldn't get the product because it was a petroleum-based product. We've started getting, our supplier has them in now, so we're starting to see a little progress with that. But yes, we are having a lot of issues with trying to get parts and stuff in still.
And my favorite example is because I met with a contractor about 4 weeks ago, and we were just talking about the industry in general. And he told me this, and then this was also confirmed by Mel and AECom. So electrical switchgear, which is the primary component in a building's electrical system, our electrical switchgear is an 80-week lead time. Now Mel came back and said that they were told 84. So that is over a year and a half. If I were to order, say we were building elementary school A and I was a contractor and I was ordering the electrical switchgear, I would not have that so it could be installed for a year and a half. So yes, not only the lead times, but the cost for these materials are affecting us, the increases in cost. Another example is that the contractor told me was steel and concrete. So for a while, steel construction it was difficult to get steel because you know, just the lag time and such for that. So architects started designing in concrete. You know, there, bang, we got a way to get around it. Now all of a sudden there are delays in concrete, and people are beginning to think that steel might be a better way to go. So it's an odd fluctuation. I've been doing this for since 1985, and I haven't seen this type of issue in that time. So it's an odd environment that we're in, and it is something that's affecting project timelines and project costs. That's what we have, Daniel, for 8. If you want to move on to 9A.
Yeah, if there are no other questions, yeah, we'll move on to 9A.
Okay. 9A is real quick. We don't have any upcoming public meetings scheduled at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Then 10, I'll just cover these 2 items that are on the agenda real quick. We do have 2 candidates that we need to interview for, and Daniel, that's one thing I will get in touch with you and Kathy tomorrow. I meant to bring that up in our phone call earlier today about when the best time to for us to get together. And then we also had a list of a few other people that wanted to sit in on those interviews.
Thank you. Yeah, let's just get together or
Yeah,
connect tomorrow, and then yeah, we'll work on the schedule.
Okay.
Thank you. Other item we have for unfinished business is committee, new committee member training.
Yeah, that is something that I'm going to be getting some help with here on, just because I have been, as we had talked earlier, I've just been pretty busy trying to do interim COO and director of design and construction and a few other things as well. So there is a staff member that I'm going to task with pulling that together from the last training that we had a few years ago, and we'll get that scheduled. I'm actually going to speak with that person. I'm not giving the name now because I've not told that person that they're going to be voluntold to handle this for me. So
Understood.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I guess we can talk more about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you. All right. Next, item 11, collect recommendations from the meeting and follow up. Fellow committee members, are there any other items or any items that need to follow up on or discuss at our next meeting?
I don't know that I really heard any this time, other than following up. I'll volunteer this one, other than following up on all the emails. Looked like there were 6 or 7 emails that we need to follow up on, we being the district.
Yeah, so I'm looking at getting an annotation for that salary issue in the report.
Yes.
And scheduling our training.
Yes, that is definitely on the to-do list. We'll get that training scheduled.
All right, so I had training, note about salary, and emails.
All right, I believe
Okay.
that's it. I believe that's it unless anyone else has any other items. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. All right. All right, if no one has any announcements, I will further play the role of Madam Chair, and I'll remind everyone that if you cannot make an upcoming meeting, please let Kathy and me know. Of course, we know you can't make every meeting, but attendance is still, crucial. Can't make the meeting, yeah, please let us know. So we'll try to follow through accordingly. All right. All right. I'll open up the floor for any last comments or questions.
Yeah, I've got one thing. I'd like to say big kudos and thanks to Richard and Bobby and the ops team out there for digging in that data. I know that's a hard stretch and trying to get everything reconciled, but I really appreciate that. I like the work that you guys are doing. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Agreed. Richard and Mel and their team put in a lot of effort, a lot of hours to get this data to us, and we greatly appreciate it.
And this is Lisa, right? I have a comment. I really
Right.
appreciate that we're going out the box to find our staff. So I hope that that becomes a successful program we model in other areas for the DeKalb County School District.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Lisa. Anyone else? All right.
I'd like to thank everybody for their support. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mel. All right. Last call. All right.
I do want to, I was just looking at the attendees. I did want to just note that Ms. Caverts and Ms. Pierce, board members, are on with us, and I know that they are frequently on these meetings, and we want to thank them for their support in both our E-SPLOST and our maintenance efforts.
Thank you for catching that, Richard. Yes, thank you for our board members for attending, as well as our other guests. Thank you for coming out tonight. We greatly appreciate your help, your support. All right. All right. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All right. All right, and according to Robert's Rule of Order, we don't need to vote. Just a motion and a second are needed. So I am now calling this meeting adjourned at 7:32 p.m. Thank you all for joining, and the next meeting date will be October 26, 2022. Thank you all for attending, and have a good rest of the evening.